Looks like it's about 7 o'clock, so we'll get the meeting of the Westmoreland City Council called to order. This is a regular meeting, and it's October the 15th, 2020. So once again, thank everyone for being here tonight. So Pastor David, you're going to lead us in our devotion tonight. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. It's definitely an honor always to have the privilege to be here with you as a city council. I just want you guys to know that. And as always, we're praying for you. Strong Tower Church is behind you. We admire what you're doing to make our community better, to be a community of love and support and encouragement, a place to grow great families. And so I just want you guys to know that we're behind you. And if there's a way we can serve you, we're always here. But over the last couple of weeks, and really it's been a crazy year. I know for all of us who are sitting here, we face things that we probably thought we might not see in our lifetime. And so sometimes when we go through these moments, there's things that I have to look to for myself as a husband, as a father, as a pastor, just as a guy that helped keep me grounded. And so there's some scripture found in Philippians chapter 2, beginning in the latter portion of verse 1. Paul says, "Are your hearts tender and compassionate?" And this is something that I think that we have to ask ourselves every day, especially those who are Christ followers, is we all need a text, we need a scripture, somewhere that we can turn to help keeps us anchored, right? It keeps our compass in the right direction. It keeps us grounded in who we really are. And then Paul goes on to say this, "Then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and one purpose." And so this is something that I think even for us as a country, as a nation, right now, this is one thing that we really have to dive into in this part of God's Word that Paul is speaking to us tonight. Even in the midst of Philippi, the church, they were under immense persecution. And Paul is saying there's this one thing you have to do, stay united and live a humble life by the example that Christ set before us. And as we do that, it will keep us grounded and mission-minded and focused on why we're here. And so Paul continues, "Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interest, but take an interest in others too." And when I think about this, I think about folks who are in this room. I think about folks who are outside this room. For those of us who are leaders, when I say leaders, I like to use the word servant. I think it goes right there with it. Servant leaders. I think Christ was the best example of what a servant leader truly is. And so Paul would even go on to touch on that. He said this. He said, you must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. Though he was God, he did not think equally with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges and he took on the humble position of a slave. So the word slave, we want to put servant in there, identifies the same thing. And the reason I'm saying that tonight is I think for all of us in our life, no matter in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of an election year, in the midst of the chaos and the hurry of life, it's very easily for our life to become unbalanced. And we're focused on this, men and women, husbands, wives, dads, moms, city officials, leaders, CEOs. It doesn't matter what position you hold in here. Here's what I want to encourage you with. One day, for those who are Christ followers, when we stand before Jesus, he's going to say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." This is what it's all about. And for me to be the best servant I can be, I have to take on the attitude of Christ. And that's to be humble and love one another the way that Christ loves me. And that helps keep me grounded. And I think that we all agree we need more of that in our life. Because it helps us be better. And helps us be better leaders and servants in our communities. Can I pray for us? Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity to gather in the midst of such wonderful people. Father, I love this community. I'm so I get to be part of it and raise my family in it. But Father, I'm so thankful for the men and the women who are sitting at this table that, Father, are leading us and serving our community. I pray you give them wisdom and knowledge as they serve this community well. Father, I pray that we all will be anchored, Father, in your word, that we will look to it daily, dear God, and be inspired and encouraged as well as reminded of who we are, and that we will focus on this one thing that unites us rather than the many things that's always trying to divide us. But we focus on you, Jesus, and that who you are calling it and asking us to be. Because I believe that when we live that out to the full potential that we all can have in our lives, then we'll see tremendous change in our communities and country. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Fisher, if you'd call the roll, please.
Tony Bennell,
Here.
Doug Brown,
Here.
Rita Carter,
Here.
Jerry Kirkman,
Here.
David Lee,
Here.
Kendra Wilkerson. Here.
Let the record show that all council members are present. We have quorum, and we will proceed with the meeting. The next item is to adopt an agenda. We have some items that need to be added before we adopt this. Sedina Shockley is the first item. Her hire date and seniority. The next item is a part-time police officer, Dwayne Clark. The next item, a full-time police officer, James Dameron. Thank you. Couldn't read my own writing there now. Next item is the overnight shift differential of 75 cents for police officers.
I make a motion to adopt.
Can I get one more thing? Mr. Bradley called me on the way up here, and he asked me to add the junk car ordinance. He's got it to give a copy of all of us tonight. He will maybe get it passed on first reading tonight. I think the number is 01-02020-2, that the next number. Okay. I'll have to add that too, please. Sorry for you.
Okay, junk car ordinance 01-2020-2. Okay, I'll entertain the motion now.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda with the 5 amended items stated by the mayor.
Second that.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Carter, a second by Councilman Bendel to adopt it with the 5 items that is added. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We are ready for public comments now, and I understand that we do have some citizens that want to address the council. If you would raise your hand, please step forward, sir, and state your name and address and all for the council. And normally we just address issues that are on the council, but I understand you were instructed that the meeting was tonight, so we're going to allow you to speak.
Appreciate that. I'm Samuel Woods. I live at 4020 Moreland Circle here in Westmoreland, and I've spoke with the chief of police and one of the sheriffs or one of the sergeants that works for the city, and they put out a mandate about a week, 2 weeks ago about speeding in the city limits, where they've been patrolling more on the city streets than the highways for speeding. I live on Moreland Circle, and there's nowhere for them to really sit to watch for speeding or anything, and nothing can be done about it. Me and a bunch of the concerned parents that live in the area, some of the elderly citizens that live up through there, have come together and talked about it, and I was the one picked to be the voice, I guess, because I'm the only one that showed up. But we talked about it, and we're suggesting probably see if we can get speed bumps put in on the road. There is a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit sign from old 31E heading toward Austin P Highway. But from Austin P Highway coming up the hill, coming from that way, there is no speed limit sign anywhere on the road. Everybody speeds up through there doing 40, 50 miles an hour, but the officers can't check it, can't verify anything on it because there's nowhere for them to actually sit and watch. And that would help reduce people speeding through there. I've got 3 kids that live there. The neighbor across the street has 3 kids. The family next door has 2 or 3 kids. My neighbor babysits anywhere from 5 to 7 children a day for a job. And at any given time, you can have anywhere from 15 to 20 children right there in one area. You've got elderly people that are going to the mailbox, going to get their trash cans, people flying up through there, especially this time of day. And we're just wanting to see if there's anything we can get done to help reduce chance of something happening before it does.
Okay. Where's my cell number? Call and we'll get together and talk before the work study session that comes up. And the chief and I will talk and public works, and I'll check with our insurance company to find out. We're having a lot of this happen. So there's more and more requests for speed bumps to be
It's
put in
like
the city.
right here on, what is it, Pleasant Grove, where they put in the little speed sign that tells you the speed limit. That'll cause people to slow down when they see it, but if they don't see an officer around, like on Moreland, it won't do them good.
Okay.
Right here where you have the police station, you don't know if there's a cop out in the car or not. So they'll slow down automatically, and they drive a little bit slower through there just because of the police station being in the proximity it is.
Okay. If you don't mind, would you write your phone number down here for me so I can call you in case you don't call me quick enough?
Mayor, can I speak? We did add a speed limit sign down there this past week.
Okay. Yeah, we need to hold this off to the work study. Keep this meeting moving, but we will address it. And thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council here in public comments? Okay, seeing none. First item is the minutes from the September 17th regular meeting.
Make a motion that we adopt the minutes from the September 17th, 2020 meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Brown, a second by Councilwoman Wilkerson to adopt the minutes. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that the motion carries unanimously. The next item is the minutes from the October 1st, 2020 special call meeting.
I move we adopt the minutes.
Second that motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Bethel, a second by Councilwoman Carter to adopt the minutes. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries unanimously. Next item is the September 2020 financial statement.
I will note that under the police department, line item 331, car repair, we're up to almost $3,000 there. So that justifies why we are in need of some new vehicles.
And that vehicle has been ordered. Any other discussion?
I'll make a motion to adopt September. Oh, or make a motion, I'm sorry.
No, there's no motion. There's no motion.
I think it was. Make that motion.
Second. I have a motion by Councilman Lee, a second by Councilman Bengel to accept the September financial statement. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. If it is okay with the council, before we go into new business, can we get our police officers taken care of here where Ms. Betty could a call or need to go? That can happen. Chief Jolly brought to us at the work study information concerning his employee Sedina Carter, or Shockley. And it appears that she worked for about 2 years before she came on as full-time. This was kind of a unique situation that we had in our city. All of our dispatch was sent to, or wasn't sent, they were offered positions at the Emergency Communications Center in Gallatin to work for the county. And I guess Sedina at that point didn't really want to go to the county and wanted to stay here, so a position was pretty much extended, and she was already full-time at that point. So it has been asked that she be restored full seniority that would allow her to become not only a tenured employee, but be able to get the annual bonus and pay that an employee receives that has 10 years. Before a motion is made on this, I'm going to ask the council to go ahead and consider making a blanket motion to include all part-time employees that were brought in. Aaron, since he has been the supervisor, has brought everyone in part-time via the sanitation truck. So if we don't do it like this, we're going to be making these motions every month. So if it's going to be done, then let's go ahead and just get it all taken care of in one motion and get it squared away.
I make a motion to adjust any part-time employees' hire date back to the original date once they are hired on as full-time. And in this case with Sedina, her original hire date would be July 2010.
Second.
You have heard the motion stated by Vice Mayor Carter and the second by Councilman Bentel. We're open for any other discussion that you want to have on this matter. Okay, hearing none, Ms. Keisha, if you will call the roll, please.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Bennell.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. The next item is to hire the part-time police officer, Dwayne Clark. Mr. Clark has been an officer for us in the reserve function, and Chief Jolly has asked that he brought forward as a part-time officer. Chief, do you want to comment on anything before we make the motions and vote?
Just to say that Officer Clark pretty much only works one shift. He works every Sunday, and he has been doing so for quite some time. And as I mentioned during the work study, I just think it would be better to not have the reserve officers and have it be a part-time officer.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make that motion to hire Officer Clark as a part-time officer.
Second that.
Have a motion by Councilman Leaf and a second by Councilman Brown to place Dwayne Clark as a part-time police officer. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. The next item is to hire a full-time police officer, Mr. James
Dameron.
Dameron.
Officer Dameron. Did you have a chance to meet him? This Officer James Dameron, he's got a 16-year police veteran, and he's most recently was employed with Portland, and he wanted to come to work for us. We interviewed 3 people that were interested in coming to work as a full-time officer, and we decided we'd like to hire Mr. Dameron.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to hire Officer James Dameron as a full-time officer at Westmoreland Police Department.
Second that.
We have a motion by Councilman Leaf, a second by Councilman Bentel to hire Mr. Dameron as a full-time officer for us. We are open for any other discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Dameron, welcome to Westmoreland.
Thank you.
The next item is the overnight shift differential for police officers. Chief Jolly brought this to the work study. It is 75 cents, and if we'll get the motion, then if the chief wants to speak to it briefly, we'll give him that opportunity.
I make a motion to give 75 cents for shift differential to the police department.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Leaf and a second by Councilman Bentel to give 75 cents shift differential to our night police officers. What did we determine that would be the hours on that? Was it 7 to 7 or?
I'll ask everyone's opinion. I've been giving this some thought, and I think that right now, currently, most of our officers, well, really all of the officers except for myself, are working a 12-hour shift. So most police departments give a small shift exception for an evening shift and a little bit larger one for the midnight shift. But my thinking was that any hours that they work between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., which is out of the ordinary, and that's the ones that cause sleep problems and makes it more difficult for home life and all that, which is why I suggest the increment.
And in our work study, didn't you have a plan on how we could make up this money in your department's budget for the year?
Yes, ma'am. The actual budget line for salary, if you look at the quarterly figures that we're at after the end of the 3rd month of this year, there's a lot of room there. Right now, it looks like we're probably going to be somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 higher in the budget than what so far the salary range is. We are going to go over on overtime because we were short on officers for a couple months. We might even double on that, but there's still room left over that will easily allow this.
Other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the like sign? Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Okay, Chief, if anything happens and you need to head out, then you're excused. We appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
The first item under new business is road closures for trunk or treat. What is that date? October
31st. 31st.
Going to be on Halloween.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion?
I move we close the road for the trunk or treat.
Officer, chief.
I make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Bendel, a second by Councilman Leaf, for road closures for trunk or treat. This was discussed at length at the work study, and the fire department, the police department, and EMS is all supposed to be in the circle of discussion on this. So we're open for discussion if you want to further mention things.
So the permit's been filed.
Everything's been approved. I've talked to Ray, they get using a meeting all
That
week.
was in a training.
And we talked about shutting the road down in front of the rock building so people could cross. But Ray said he would rather have an officer there escorting the crosswalk so that we can leave this road open and only shut Park Street down. That's the only thing I needed him here for. But other than that, if everybody signed off on it, everything's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that better, the tour traffic.
And what we're planning on, so the fire, in case they get a call, we're gonna park the big fire truck from the city hall pointing towards the grass. And then we're gonna run the fire trucks around the end. That way, if they get a call, we can just cut the street and they can head out, straight out from there. So, and we're figuring the police department usually does a trunk. We'll put them right in that area also. On this end where they don't, because the line's gonna be on the other end, that way they don't have to fight the line to get out if they do get a call or something.
So basically, only Park Street is gonna be shut off, and then the officer will be letting people walk across Austin Peak, correct, without walking
Technically,
in?
Park Street will be shut down, and then the
Yeah.
road in front of the post office will be shut down, allowing people to get into the post office, but right on the upper side of the post office will be shut down. And the mayor had brought concern the other night, I talked to the VFW, their thing is at 11 o'clock. They're not going to Del Hall, they're only going 40 minutes from here. And he said they should be cleared out by 2 or 3 o'clock. And they're planning to haul some kind of a festival. And I'm thinking, the way I heard, he told me today, some food trucks and some more stuff in there, but he said they would all be gone by 2 o'clock. So we're not gonna start till 4-ish, so we shouldn't be, no one hitting each other there.
Okay.
Keisha, has a special events form been filled out for both of these parties? No.
I'll be on that, I did not realize that, I'll be on that tomorrow. I'll be there in the morning.
Okay, other discussion? And you did talk to all the merchants, so everybody's on board and we're ready.
Everybody's signed, but Grandpa's Music is gonna be open, they're gonna do theirs on Friday night, won't be there Saturday night. Highland Pizza said they'd like for us to keep them open in front of them, and then they're gonna set up and give, the way I'm understanding, they're gonna give all the kids a pizza, small pizza, so they wanna be on the corner right there. And then the tattoo parlor is gonna be open. They're gonna have a trunk set up in front of their business, and then Windy City Grill is wanting us to leave them a spot on next to the grass. They're gonna be giving away hot dogs. They're gonna move where they can come straight up in front of them to hand out hot dogs. So, of all the merchants, that's the only ones that expressed any concern.
Very good.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is first reading of ordinance 01-02020-1 of garbage.
Yeah, I move we adopt on first reading the ordinance that you just mentioned on garbage. Mr. Aaron Work, well, I'll see if we get a motion first. I get a second.
Do you have a motion?
I made a motion, yes.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Bendel, a second by Councilman Brown to accept ordinance 01-020-1 02020-1. It's an ordinance for sanitation and solid waste for the city of Westmoreland. It is quite a lengthy document. I know that there's going to be a lot of discussion on it. You're welcome to any discussion now, and then I'm sure it will be discussed quite lengthy at the work study prior to the next meeting for second vote.
Yeah, Aaron's worked very hard on this. He took a sample from Portland and changed things that make it more for Westmoreland. And we've had several discussions on this, and thinking he's changed a lot of this. He's doing this to protect his employees, because trash, if you watch around town, it's just thrown everywhere. And this is actually making it go into 96-gallon trash cans, which we have a mechanical dumper on the trash trucks now. Makes it real good. It rolls up and it dumps, and the guys aren't reaching down in the bags, possibly getting a cut or a needle stick or whatever. It's done basically mechanically. So that's kind of the idea of doing this.
Yeah, I'd like to just echo what Mr. Bennell mentioned, that the work that Aaron had put into this. Many other municipalities, you go around Sumner County and just compare the efficiency of their garbage disposal is much better than ours. And when you look at our city and how we want to be sure that our employees are safe and to be able to have efficiency with their work, then you have to start to speak into these details like trash pickup, because it's a task that a few people want to do, and to make that job just more efficient I think it speaks in this document. And so there was talk, though, I will say, I know we'll have a chance to discuss this, there was talk about limiting the garbage bags at one point, and I couldn't find that verbiage in here, Aaron, so I don't know if that's here or not, but we can discuss that.
Do you want me to discuss it now?
You want to address that?
Kenny?
I can't, that's,
You want to wait till next time?
I'm actually thinking that with the 96-gallon cans, and reading it, let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm under the assumption that if you get it in the 96-gallon can, whether it be 3 bags, 5 bags, or 10 bags, there's no limit on it. But according to this ordinance, the can has to have the lid closed.
yes, sir.
When it's picked up.
Yes, sir.
And you could have 2 96-gallon cans, and the cost would be the same
Yes, sir.
as far as paying the city for the service. If you have a 96-gallon trash can, and Aaron says it's okay, it's got a lid, got wheels, you wouldn't have to buy one.
Okay, and what did we determine the cost would be per can?
It's gonna be $65 and some odd change, after shipping and everything. And, I would like to see that be able, if they need it, to be able to stretch it out, make payments on it instead of having to make it all in one lump sum. But we saving the citizens a little over $30, roughly $35 versus going and buying a comparable can at Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that.
I too appreciate all the hard work and research you've done in putting into this ordinance. This is just my opinion. I'm still undecided about mandating that the residents purchase this can. I'm leaning between the 2 options. If they've already got the can or they want to buy a can, since we have the flippers, that's well and good. That will help you out a lot. And I think you and the mayor both stated that on the route there was several of those cans already. But then if we allow them to have bags. I'd like to see a limit, maybe of 6 on the bags or so, because I seen Monday on the trash route, there, some places had almost 20 bags of different size setting out with other items on top of those bags. But that's just my opinion, that I'm still undecided about mandate the cans.
It's got a 10-year guarantee.
Yes,
Tears up, the city's gonna replace it at no cost.
right.
If you take the $60 and spread it out over a year, that's not much. Certainly, over 10 years, it's not much per month. And I like the idea of spreading the cost out so it doesn't hit everybody hard. It's just,
And also in this, if you read it, once you purchase the can, say 15 years, it falls apart, which a lot of times, you know, now we're replacing cans anyways, but say your can falls apart in 15 years, then the city's gonna replace it for you, not, you're not gonna have to purchase another can. So I mean, you're pretty much buying one can from here on out. And we would be able to recoup that money, we'll be able to save that, a lot more money than that, just in not having to make as many trips to the garbage, to the dump, to dump the garbage, and also by people not taking advantage of it. It's gonna cut our trash costs down tremendously.
Do you propose to buy these in bulk prior to selling them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you and Keisha need to get together to find out where that money will come from.
Yes, sir.
Because by my estimate, it'll be about $44,000.
Well, what I was thinking is doing it, letting people pre-order them if they want. Those that want to do it, those that can't afford to pre-order one, they can, if they have to set it up on a payment plan, you know, we could kind of see where they're at, you know, and see the numbers on it. Because the price that I got is on 100 cans. If we buy more than that, the price should go down. He said it would go down, so I'm not sure exactly on how far it would. I just got that as a reference number. But if we can get the cost down even more, you know, we'll look more into that as well.
Of course, that's going to have to be bid. No way to say anything about bidding, but there are a lot of companies that make these cans, these
Right.
containers. So you might get a really good price after
Right.
bidding it.
May even get a lot better than that.
Just for information, I know you based this on Portland's ordinance, but what Portland did, I talked to their finance director today, he said initially they bought the containers. And then if anybody had to replace one, then they had to pay for it themselves. So it's sort of the opposite of what you're talking about doing.
Okay, of course, we can discuss it at the work study, I suppose, but if we give the residents a period of months to make payments, if we went this route on the can, and we've got a lot of renters out there, and theirs is set up on a payment plan, and 2 months after they receive this can, they up and move away from the city and take their can with them. Is the city gonna be out this money? Is it gonna be a loss to the city? Because that's something that needs to be looked into, I suppose.
Well, Portland, the reason Portland did it the way they did, because Portland retains ownership. If somebody takes the can, they're stealing it, because it belongs to the city of Portland. And so, I mean, that's one advantage of, it keeps it on the property. If somebody moves, it stays on the property. That's one advantage of the city buying it, because you can say, we buying it, but you're gonna be able to use it, and you have to, and it has to be, it doesn't save a lot of money if everybody's not using it. I mean, if you have to go and pick up bags too, that defeats the purpose.
Right.
So it can make it a whole lot more efficient with the equipment that they have. Portland uses the 64-gallon containers, and this is, of course, this size, I can't imagine anybody would need more than one in a week, you know, but that's just me.
Okay. Other items that I'll be asking questions on at the work study is where it talks on vacant property about the portions of grounds and yards that are left in their natural state. I wondered what that meant. And We've already discussed the 96-gallon can, and that'll have a lot more discussion. The next part that I want to raise awareness on is the failure to comply with this, that you're going to deem the citizen to have a misdemeanor charged against them if it's not followed. And my question will be, how do we plan on enforcing that? Who's going to be in charge of it?
It can't be a misdemeanor, it's not a misdemeanor. That was one of the amendments I was going to suggest, was misdemeanor needs to be amended to offense. A lot of city ordinances say misdemeanor, but they're not. They're offenses.
Okay.
So that's one thing you could do, and maybe right now, just amend every place the word misdemeanor appears with the word offense.
Thank you.
Misdemeanor carries with it the idea that you could have up to a year in jail. City court doesn't have that authority.
Okay. Okay, and this says that it goes into effect upon passage of second reading. So I know this will get a lot of discussion at the next work study, but if you want to go ahead and vote for first reading of it now, we can do that. Or if you want to vote the first reading down for a lot more discussion, it's totally up to the council. I think we've probably spent enough time on this for tonight, so I'll call for the vote, Ms. Keisha.
Mennel,
Yes.
Carter,
No.
Wilkerson,
No.
Brown,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes, just to give you the second reading.
Okay, let the record reflect that it passes with 3 affirmative votes and 2 nay votes. So we will put it on for the work study, and we will, at that time, possibly pass it on to second reading. Next item on the agenda is to eliminate dumpster pickup from the city of Westmoreland.
Mayor, I'd like to move that we defer that to the November council meeting.
We need a second on it, John.
Yes, check up second.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It is deferred to the November council meeting.
Sounds strange. November.
Did you mean council meeting or work study?
Council meeting.
Council meeting. The next item up is paving of old Highway 31 from Highway 52 to Hawkins Drive. 52, are you talking about Austin B or the entire road?
From the new Highway 52.
New Highway 52. We're open for a motion.
Okay, since we've had discussion for 3 months now on this, I make a motion to pave 031 from Highway 52 to Hawkins Drive using the $83,428 from the state money we received in July on the COVID grant. Which we had aimed to apply that to our grant, but we didn't receive the grant, and paving is one of the 5 items that it can be used for.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Okay, have a motion by Councilwoman Carter and a second by Councilman Bentel. Is that part of the bid package that they put out?
What part of the bid, the
Yeah.
highway? Yes, yes. It was
Okay.
included in that.
Okay, have you all awarded the bid yet?
Not till we pass this.
Okay, you're just saying now we're going to pave it, but you're not awarding it.
Right, right.
Has bids come in?
I have two.
Or two?
Yeah, but we've got to advertise. I know Bryant, the engineer, when he got all this together, is when you were on vacation, so he sent it to me with the list of the priority on the roads, and 031 was number 5, but the 4 little streets above it, it doesn't have the traffic that 031 does, and I've had several of the bus drivers contact me about, they've nearly had wrecks on that road because people coming, traveling the opposite direction of where the bus was going, was trying to dodge the potholes or the paving, and it's so bad that they've almost hit the school bus. So not only is it a safety issue, the road is heavily traveled with the school traffic. But the reason he went ahead and got that package together, because Aaron had already got the quotes from the 3 paving companies. So he wanted to go ahead and send those out to those 3 paving companies so that they would be quoting or bidding apples to apples instead of, I think everybody got a copy of that. They weren't all bidding on or quoting on the same items in their quote. Some was detailed, some was not. This just takes it the legal route, what he put together. But he said it would be cheaper on the city to go ahead and handle the whole process themselves, and I think that's the way the bid process was worded. It was 165 pages. So that the engineer wouldn't be involved in the bidding process because they would have to have this meeting and that meeting. And he said with it being already discussed and the paving company contacting us and giving us quotes through Aaron, it would save the city about $10,000 in the process. And he says there ain't any reason why the city couldn't open the bids and award them without his help.
Well, this guy about paving, but not here. So Sumner Drive, where is it on moving forward?
That's those bids.
That's the
there,
bid
is it?
you have there, what are those bids?
Those bids are for Sumner Drive and
031.
031.
He included it all in the
All
same
in the
bid.
same, okay.
Yes,
The same,
yes.
all in one bid.
Because we'd already voted on the Sumner Drive last year sometimes. And instead of doing 2 processes, he just included it all. And if this doesn't pass, then I guess we can just pitch that process and just let him shoot us one for Sumner Drive. But we have the money. In the budget this year, we budgeted $61,900 for paving, which we were going to put that towards Sumner Drive, and that's more than enough from some of the quotes that Aaron had gave us previously. That's more than enough to do Sumner Drive, which should be some left over from the $61,000 to put with the 83 of 031 is more than the 83 that we've got.
Everybody that I talked to said that if the bids or whatever is awarded, that they could get it done before they shut the paving, asphalt plant down.
What's the deadline for them to submit their bids?
I don't, was it the 22nd or 28th?
The 22nd was in the bid package.
Okay.
When I sent them the emails, I told them today, this morning, because I was thinking that the engineer got the dates wrong on, because that's next Thursday, and I was thinking that maybe because of the first was a Thursday this month, that maybe he had got the Thursdays wrong, as far as the meeting wise and everything. So I told them to have everything in by today, and that was the only two that turned it in. And those are also the only two that have responded to me via email or call.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and open the bids tonight, then, if everything's legal on it, and award it and get it moving.
We have to add that to the agenda.
Well, it's part of this paving here, so I'd say it's already on the agenda.
Because I was thinking that they gave to the.
What did the bid document say? The bid document said that.
I hear no objections from our
I
attorneys.
sent them an email. I don't know how if I said that. I sent them a report. Actually, I think it's 50.
How do we know somebody else will bid?
Okay, the first bid is from Scottish Contract.
Hold on, wait just a minute.
Stop there talking back here.
I'm just concerned about how this was advertised, because it is a pretty expensive project, and this is not one of those I think you can just get 3 bids. Isn't it over $10,000?
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, this has to be bid.
150,000.
It's got to be competitively bid with publication, and it's going to take an appropriation ordinance with 2 readings. Now, so you can do it, but you got to be moving along if you're going to try to get it done during this paving season.
Now,
And also the fact that it had this 22nd deadline, I mean, I would not open any bid until you get this straightened out, where they can revise their bid if they want to. Try to get it in the paper as soon as you can with a pretty short turnaround, so you can get it done this paving season. I mean, that's assuming there are 3 votes to do it. I mean, you haven't got to that point yet.
well, I'll give you the bids back at this point, and we'll vote on the accepting of the doing the project, and any other discussion, I'll call for the vote.
I was gonna, one more piece of discussion on it. The concern that I got is that, we voted for Sumner Drive to be paved. And we had, COVID took place and it kind of set us back. And the citizens, after we committed to that project, the citizens have yet to see a completion of a project. And by adding to this, I'll be honest, I'm kind of confused myself. And so I can't really go for something that I don't fully understand. So what I would like to see is since we already voted on one completion, to have that completed before we take on another paving project. Now, if we were doing a group paving project, like we talked about doing with what was it, the bond, then that's something that citizens are going to understand. They're going to know that there's a process and it occurs over time. So I'm going to oppose on this.
And just to speak on it,
Sure.
Sumner Drive was not officially advertised either. Judy Harden was going to pave it for us, and then when COVID hit, she called and said that she could not do it this year. So it might be entirely possible that next season she could do it and do it at a lot less expense than probably what we're looking at. Maybe, maybe not.
I think, Doug, it's gonna take the same amount of time to get advertised and everything. It's gonna take the same amount of time to do Sumner Drive that it would to do both of them, and whoever's gonna pay them at the same time.
That's a good one.
Before they move out. So we still got another process to do, even on Sumner Drive. We got, we gotta advertise it, and what else, John, advertise it?
Well, you have to advertise it for bids, and there's no particular time, and you could give a week or 2 weeks, or whatever period you want, but you're gonna have to have an appropriation ordinance to appropriate the money, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to, you could appropriate the funds on, if there's the votes to do it, I keep saying if, and you could even pass an ordinance tonight on first reading appropriating up to whatever we think the ceiling amount would be, an amount that it's not going to exceed for this road, and then have second reading in November. Or you could do that at the study session. That might make more sense. You got 2 or 3 things you might want to pass on the reading at the study session, call a special meeting then. Because you're not going to, are you going to not meet in December?
We're not scheduled to at this point.
Well, if you're not scheduled to meet in December, then you probably ought to do the special meeting in November, the study session, have first reading then and second reading at the regular meeting. In that period of time, you should be able to get your bids done easily.
All right, 61,900 was already appropriate in our budget for street paving.
Okay?
Do we have to reappropriate that?
No, it's already appropriated. You transfer it from one line item to another.
And the 83,000 was in the budget as well.
But it was under other funds.
How was the COVID money in the budget?
It was one-time money from the state of
I mean,
Tennessee.
we knew that when we passed the budget?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, if you've already appropriated the amount, then you can transfer from one item to another by resolution.
Right.
If it's all been appropriated, as long as there's no new appropriation of funds.
That's what I think that you had proposed when you said we'll put it in for the grant, which we all agreed, for the grant on the sewer project, or water project, sewer project. But providing we receive the grant, well, we did not receive, we've already got notice we did not receive that grant. And paving from the state, there was 5 items that it could be used for, and street paving was one of them. And he put it in his general fund, so we would be all right if we had to go with one of those other
It
items.
seems the first vote should be whether you want to do this project.
Right.
If you do, then you're going to ask it to be put out for bid. You wouldn't have to
Yeah.
vote on that. If you vote to do it, he's going to bid it.
Yeah,
So,
that's what
I think
I
that's sort of where you are at
was
this point.
proposing. Yeah.
Ms. Keisha, call the vote, and see if this project's gonna move forward.
Fennel,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Brown,
No.
Wilkerson.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that it passes 4-1, that Councilman Brown voted no, so it has passed.
I would also, on the advice of the attorney, I'd like to call a special call meeting for the November work study to award the bids if we get them.
Yeah, that's really cutting it kind of close. If you're only going to be able to, if you only have to do it for resolution, probably the November regular meeting, if it's just going to be a resolution, it's going to be whatever, is it, November 18th or something? I mean, the paving's going to, the plant's going to shut down by then. You're only going to take one reading, see, to approve this. It's going to be kind of hard, I think, to get this bid in time to open the bids in 2 weeks from tonight. It's possible, but it's just, I don't know, it's just something you need to think about.
Newspaper only comes out once a week, so it's...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think it might give you a little more leeway if you just did the regular meeting in November, since it only takes one reading, award the bid that night. You know, give them a deadline to, you know, November 10th to submit bids or whatever, or November 1st, whatever you want to do, that's sort of up to you. But there should be plenty of time to get this done before the asphalt plant shut down.
When do they close normally? In November?
It depends on the weather.
It is gonna be close.
But they're very
Any way we
close.
could fast pace it, we need to get it on the fast track.
I think it's 10 nights below freezing when it closes.
Is that right?
I think that's,
It's not likely to be in November. It's possible, but it's not usually in November.
Is it 10 consecutive nights, or is it...
I think that's, one of my employees that works for the county, and that's what he does, and I think that's the way it goes, because Donnie goes over to the maintenance crew.
Well, that could be a part of the bid process too, to say when you can do it. Because if somebody says that when we're awarded, we could do it, would start within a week, then that would, you know, let you know that you can get it done. So you might, that would be something to ask for, not only a price, but how long after award of the contract would it be before you could get to the project? Because certainly, you're getting in an area where it could, the weather could be a factor.
Does Brian write this contract, or who would write that for us?
I think it was I think wording was included in the bid package
Okay. All right.
for advertising.
Okay.
When he was doing it, he just did it all for whenever we took action on it.
I told Ray I'd be home early tonight.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn is always in order.
Are we done adopted?
Did you get all that, Ms. Keisha?
So we're doing a special call or no?
No special call name. Okay. Moving to the next item, Resolution R 102020-1, the Property Conservation Grant. We've received the opportunity from the Public Entities Partners for a grant. You have that in your package, and we always try to take advantage of these. So.
I make a motion to pass resolution R 1020201, applying for the Public Entity Partners Property Conservation Matching Grant.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Carter, a second by Councilman Lee, to pass ordinance, resolution, R 102020-1 to participate in the Public Entity Partners Property Conservation Matching Grant.
What is this going to be used for?
I applied for it on the 5th, and it would be for security cameras, and then depending on how much we received, I know the police department was talking about needing fencing and cameras for their impound lot, so that was listed as well.
The date you have on here is the 17th.
Yes, that's,
That's good. Thank you.
Good catch. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, if I'm looking at the list correctly, we have one thing left. It's our junk car ordinance, number 012020-2. And Mr. Bendel and our city attorney have been working diligently on this, so we'll give a motion and a second, and then we'll discuss it.
Okay, so we adopted.
First reading.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Bendel, a second by Councilman Leaf to accept ordinance or adopt ordinance on first reading, 0102-02-2. A lot of twos and zeros. As the public could tell, we just received the ordinance just a few minutes ago, so
I think Mr. Bell had sent out basically this some weeks ago as a draft. It's the same thing as he sent out, just a couple little changes. Two other things that it does, section 1 changes the time for responding to a property maintenance complaint from 20 days to 10 days. This was something that our property maintenance officer had requested. It also adds a penalty in section, in chapter 1 of Title 13, having to do with just $50 plus court cost, is just to make sure we've got that penalty provision. And it spells out that every day there's a violation, that's a new every day it continues, that's a new violation, is a new offense. And we have the same sort of language in the junk cars thing. And Mr. Bennell may want to explain what he's doing with junk cars and what's being prohibited. You might want to give them a brief summary of what the junk car provision does, because that's the rest of it's about junk cars. Adds a new chapter to your property maintenance code dealing exclusively with junk cars.
Yeah, since it's a new, I had looked at it in a few weeks, and new to y'all, it's just a work study we'll dive into a little more and answer the questions. It just gives a property person a little something to use. She tried to get a field mowed up here on Kelly Boulevard the whole year. The grass was up this high. And finally, the way she got it mowed, she had to cite her plan. So this will give her where she can decide. Right now, there's no penalty. There's just no reason. They kind of just laugh at you if they have junk cars. And y'all know we don't have a lot of them, but there's some around, and they are unsightly. And this will give her ammunition to help get them cleaned up. So we'll talk about it in work study, if that's all right.
Any further discussion?
Nobody made a motion on this.
And there's already a motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I missed that, I'm sorry.
That happens to me too.
Want to discuss anybody? Ms. Keisha?
Brown,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Lees,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. That is all the items on our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. And it's not debatable.
We're adjourned. Thank you.